much. Our first speaker today, Warren Burris. Thank you very much. Okay, so my name is Warren Burris. I teach in communication studies and also here in informatics. And the topic that I chose to talk about in this course is called Deaf Nursing Workshop, March 1, 2017. And this is this overwhelming amount of numbers here. It's from my own research that I conducted almost a year ago. And today I'm going to tell you about what the data is, why I'm interested in it, why I think you might be interested in it, and I'll tell you a little story about how I came up with this data. So I told you all you have to cover at least 2 time periods, right? This covers 3 time periods. And the way that works is this column right here is the one to look at first. And you'll see that there's numbers here, and there are 3 groups. It goes 1, 2, 3. And then what they are times that I have given a survey to nursing students about how they feel about working with deaf patients. And by deaf, I don't mean just people who are hard of hearing, but people who use sign language. So each person in the group gets a number. I gave the survey to one class, that's group 1, and I came back and I gave it to them again, that's group 2, and then I gave it to another class, entirely different class, that's group 3. Each person in the class gets a number. So this is person 1, group 1, person 2, group 1. It goes down, and then it'll start over again when we hit group 2 down here. Then we start over again, person 1 in group 2, person 2 in group 2, and then it starts again in group 3. So each person has an identifier. I'm not interested in their names. I just want to keep people, keep track of people by their number. These over here are, what do you think? These numbers refer, these columns refer to?
Categories?
Categories of what? It's a survey.
Different questions?
There's different questions, right. So each one of these is a question, and then the numbers are the answers on a Likert scale. So you know what a Likert scale is, right? Do you? Where you go from strongly agree to disagree to neutral. And strongly agree is 1, disagree is 2, neutral is 3, agree is 4, and strongly agree is 5. So person 1 on question 1 about family members put disagree for that one. And then question 2, something about reading and writing, they disagreed with that, but over on this one, they put agree. And then person 2 was disagree, strongly agree, agree, like that. And it goes all the way along because each one of these is a different question. And that's the data, so then it just repeats itself over and over again with the 3 groups, the 3 groups that got this survey. So why am I interested in this stuff? Well, 1, because I created it. It's my own, and I love my stuff. So that's one thing. I made it up myself. 2, it's the first time I ever got to work with the nursing faculty. So I like to meet new people and work with new people, and it's like a new world for me over there. 3, this is the first time I ever did anything with big numbers like this. Usually I do qualitative data, which is, I went to sleep, so I'm winging it now, Paul. It's usually I collect people's stories and I do open-ended questions. So this is the first time I ever used Likert scales in my research. So that's pretty interesting. Why should you be interested? You might not know that there's a huge deaf population around here. Did you know that? Because we have the School for the Deaf and Blind just down the street, and that's part of it. But there is a big crowd around here, and if you keep your eyes open, you can see them around, and they're signing when they communicate. Also, some of you may be taking American Sign Language for your foreign language. Are anybody here doing that? Nobody. That is a very popular language to learn, especially in the health field, because you could use that in your work. The third thing is you might know somebody who is deaf, or work with somebody who's deaf. And 4th, it's just interesting to know how to communicate across cultural boundaries. Because when you go into the workforce, this is going to be a more and more multicultural society. And just that cross-cultural communication is really important. Now, the little story I have for this is how did I come up with this, is I was sitting at that coffee shop I mentioned before grading papers about a year and a half ago, and a student came up to me and said hello. I didn't know her very well. I said, how do you feel about your classes? And she said she didn't like them very much, but she's just going through the motions because she just wanted to get a degree so she could do what she really wanted. I said, what do you want to do? She said, I want to work with deaf people. She said she was really fluent in American Sign Language. And I said, well, why don't we work together? Because I bet you that deaf people, when they go to the doctor, have a hard time communicating. And she said, you're right, they really do. So I said, how can we make that experience better for the deaf patient and for the nurses and the doctors? And so we started working together, and since then, she's presented her research at a conference in Greenville. I've presented up in Washington, D.C., and we presented together in Germany. We went all the way to Germany and presented our work together, and we're going to do the workshop again this March. No. Yeah, next month from, a little bit more than a month from now. So I hope you have heard, I hope you've enjoyed hearing about what this date is and that you'll get more out of it throughout the semester. Today I've talked about how I came up with this information, talked to you about it, a little bit about it, what interests me, what might interest you. Thank you very much. How long was that?